All right, moving on to the Green Bay Packers, who finished 11-6 last season. The Packers are interesting to me because they're sort of the bellwether of that division, where it's like,
Mhm.
if they're as good as we think they are, then the NFC North is great. If they were a little bit of a paper tiger last season, then and then you build in a little bit of a drop off for the Minnesota Vikings, moving on to essentially a rookie quarterback, then this division loses its teeth a little bit for me. I was interested in their offseason. I mean, at this point, they have wide receivers practicing at cornerback. You've let Jair Alexander go. Maybe there's still an upgrade to be made at the position. I know there's some really good vets available at the position, and maybe you're just waiting until you don't have to pay a fully guaranteed contract to them at this point. But that worries me a little bit. The lack of upgrades on the defensive front worry me a little bit because in the pre-draft process, they said that they were concerned about it. Really loaded up at the wide receiver position, which was interesting. What's your take on the whole thing?
Yeah, the receiver thing's interesting because it wasn't just one.
Right.
Obviously Matthew Golden's, there. And I can understand where maybe they would look at it and see some of their young guys like Christian Watson's coming back off the injury, Jaden Reed, Romeo Dobbs, Dontavian Wicks, and say we have a bunch of number twos and we need a number one. But then you double down and take Savion Williams, I think in the third round. Is that right? I think it was the third round.
Third round. Yep.
Yeah, from TCU. And so now it's like two top 100 picks that you spent on receiver. That really caught my attention. Like, are they not happy with where they are at the position right now? Are they not happy with their younger guys? Because I think at this time last year, we would have all said they're like really in good shape, like going into the year, and they've got a good, young, promising group there. A left tackle, I think, is another one that, like, you drafted Jordan Morgan in the first round, not to play guard, but to play tackle. Now, he played guard last year, but they're going to give him a chance to compete with Rasheed Walker, who is going into a contract year. So that, I think, is a big deal. I think it's been like a relatively complete roster the last few years where you could look at it and say there aren't a lot of holes here. And now you add the corner question, like you said, and you had two guys who were former first-round picks going out the door. Not only Jair Alexander, but Eric Stokes going to the Raiders. And I look at it and it's like, this team has more like training camp intrigue than it's had in a while.
Right.
And as part of this transitioning just into having your quarterback off his rookie contract, that could be part of it too, where it's like, like you look at the receiver calculus, right? Like, some of those guys are going to be coming up for contracts and it's like, well, with Jordan making what he's making, we can't afford to pay one of these guys who's, maybe we view as a number two, $25 million. So we have to bring in the next wave now.
I wonder if this is almost a call. And they had a great, I thought that their defense thrived under a new coordinator last year, or thrived, I think is a tough word. I think that they're missing some pieces, but I wonder if their lack of attention on the defensive side of the ball was more of a challenge to the staff, because I mean, at this point, like, hey, can you guys figure this out? Because first round pick Rashawn Gary, first round pick Kenny Clark, first round pick Devontae Wyatt, first round pick Lucas Van Ness, first round pick Quay Walker, second round pick Edrin Cooper, right? And then you had Xavier McKinney, who had an interception in like 17 games last year. So are you kind of putting that on Jeff Hafley and saying, okay, you need to also take a step forward. We gotta figure this thing out with the QB, because the resources that they poured into Love are insane at this point. I mean, you have basically a Raven style depth at tight end, and now you have Romeo Dobbs, Matthew Golden, Jaden Reed, Savion Williams, Christian Watson, Dontavian Wicks. I mean, my God, like
they don't have what you would describe as number one, but they're throwing a lot of darts at the board to try to get one.
Mecole Hardman is like the 9th best receiver on the roster, which is fine. No offense to Mecole Hardman, but let's get to your realistic expectations for that, because I mean, if this team can just get back into the tournament, I think that's good. That game against the Eagles was closer in the playoffs than I think that they were given credit for, and I think the Eagles called a bad game in that one. But I mean, I think for me, it's certainly about the quarterback, and you don't want to make everything about the quarterback, but Jordan Love's got to get to the point where he has a command over this with so much talent at his disposal. And defensively, you have to take a step forward with not a lot of resources. And so does Hafley become a legit head coaching candidate? And he interviewed, I think, for one job last year. So my my thought is you want Jeff Hafley to become a legit head coaching candidate because he was so successful, and you want Jordan Love to possess complete control over this offense.
And I think you want to have like an idea coming out of the year of like what your offense is going to look like going forward too. Not to like push it to the 26 off season, but like who's your left tackle? What does your receiver position look like? And can you get enough around Jordan Love where there's a group that he can grow with coming out of the year? I think we all have seen the potential with Tucker Kraft, right? Like Tucker Kraft looks like he's a foundational piece for them going forward. I mean, the other guys, the young receivers we kind of run through, like the third, fourth year guys, this is time for them to stake their claim to being there for second contracts, you know? So I think having an idea of what all this is going to look like going forward coming out of the year is going to be important too.
I think 10 plus wins in a wild card berth should be considered a good season. I'm guessing that Packers fans don't agree with me. But you guys need to just take a little step off of your soapbox. You've had it pretty good for a long time.